Hi guys, welcome back to another F1 2020 video. Now this is the Bahrain Grand Prix. We're going into qualifying. I've already done practice. Now a bit of backstory about me and Bahrain. I absolutely love Bahrain as a circuit. I don't know why, in every F1 game I just seem to have gelled with it really quickly, and my lap times are actually pretty quick. Because of that, I decided to up the difficulty from the first Grand Prix, where it was set at 50, because I hadn't played an F1 game in about 4 years, so I've upped it to 65. As you see qualifying, you'll probably notice that I need to increase it a little bit more for the next Grand Prix, but I feel like I'm getting used to the game now. I feel like I'm starting to understand how the cars behave, and I'm really enjoying it, hence recording this episode so quickly afterwards. Let's get straight into qualifying then, and let me talk you through my first lap in Q1. So coming off of the last corner, getting straight on the DRS as soon as we can. I'm pretty sure that I was top of the speed trap in Q1, or certainly in practice I was at 200 miles an hour or something. So slowing down, third gear, going through this corner. I never seem to be able to get on the power as quickly as the AI out of that I think turn 2. But anyway, it seemed to work because I was going quite quick compared to everyone else in this session. So coming round 6th gear, drop back down to 6th. The tyres are really sticky. You certainly felt like you had loads of grip on the qualifying laps. Back down, all the way down to 2nd gear. Slight lock up, but it doesn't push me too wide. Straight on the power, all the way down to the hairpin. Now this corner took me a bit of getting used to. As you can see, I locked up, but I still made the corner. This DRS zone came really quickly, and I always seem to hit the DRS just a little bit late, because I find I was hitting the rev limiter in second as I was pressing the DRS, and it was a bit of a mental overload. But anyway, coming round this long sweeping bend, really nice corner, I really like it. Down to 4th gear, I missed the apex but managed to stay on the track and go around the corner. Full throttle now then, all the way down to the last corner. We're going to slow down to 3rd gear on this one. I take a bit too much curb, which slightly pushes me out on the exit, but it doesn't matter. I still get a really good lap in, and I think it comes through at 131.4. I don't think I actually go out for another lap, because when I go back to the garage, I notice I'm quite high up on the leaderboard, and I think I end up something like 10th or 9th in Q1, so I will see you at Q2. So as you can see, we ended Q1 in 10th position. I thought that was quite a good lap. I still felt like there was more time there. I locked up the tyres a couple of times, and we were really close to Lando Norris in 9th actually. So I was really confident going into Q2 that I could improve on that time, but also at the back of my mind I was like, second race, I probably shouldn't be qualifying in 10th position in Q1, so maybe the difficulty needs to be turned up. But anyway, let's go into Q2 and see our lap. So we're actually going to pick up at the end of my first lap. It was a really messy lap. As you can see from the lap time, when we eventually crossed the line, it was like a 1:32.4, which was really slow. It was like a second slower than my lap time in Q1. So I wasn't very happy with that. So I immediately stayed out and carried on going for a second lap, which I had the fuel for. It was just whether the tyres would hold out. And as you can see, I'm actually a little bit down, and I was kind of wondering whether I should carry on with this lap, but through this corner I pick up a 10th and or 2 tenths, and I was like, okay, no, this lap is going to go well. Drop back down to 6th again, go round these lovely... Bahrain has really nice sweeping corners. I really do like it. This corner was much neater, and as you can see, I'm gaining time here. Down then in towards the hairpin, still locked up, but still managed to make the corner. And we're on that DRS, and as you can see, the gear shift, because you're on that DRS so early out of that corner, I always find the gear shifts are a bit messy around there. I lock up and go a bit wide here, but it doesn't seem to hurt me too much. In fact, I'm still gaining time on my previous best. So I'm nearly a second up actually, 3/4 of a second up at this point of the lap. And we come out of this corner and we shoot down towards the last turn, going as quickly as I can, applying all of the ERS, drop it down to third gear, turn in, bit less curve than in Q1. We're a second up on the previous lap time. DRS open, and we come in at a 1:31.43, which is actually quicker than Lando Norris's time, I think, in Q1. So let's see how that lap did for us. So end of Q2, and we qualified 9th. Our time was quicker than Lando Norris. We actually knocked Lando Norris, who's in P11, at the end of Q2. So we go into Q3. I'm going to tell you now, I wasn't very happy with any of my runs in Q3. They were slower than my Q1 and Q2 times, and in fact I qualified 10th. So we're going to jump straight to the race. 10th is still pretty impressive for the second Grand Prix of a brand new team, I must say.
We're here again then at a circuit famous for its stunning visuals and thrilling battles for glory. Who will take the spotlight in the Bahrain Grand Prix today? There's no shortage of passing opportunities around the 3.36 miles of the Bahrain International Circuit, with the best at turn 1 of course, and then another soon into turn 4. 15 corners here, 6 to the left and 9 to the right, and we could see 1 or 2 flat spots into the tight left-hander of turn 10. Now, Anthony Davidson, I wonder, might we be in for some early pit stops today from the midfield teams, all trying to put some pressure on or disrupting things for the leaders up front?
If you're in the middle of the pack, you know, you got your own race to run, I don't think they're going to be thinking about causing trouble up front. However, closer to the head of the pack, don't be surprised to see some split strategies. If you're running second and third, for example, bringing one car in for an undercut while leaving the other one out there longer can put a lot of pressure on the leader and maybe force them into an error.
Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. Good job yesterday from Valtteri Bottas. The Finn starts from pole position, with Sebastian Vettel starting alongside. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Hamilton, Verstappen, Charles Leclerc and Sainz, Albon, Ocon, Ricciardo and the scientist, Norris, Kvyat, Sergio Perez and Gasly, Stroll, Raikkonen, Antonio Giovinazzi and Roman Grosjean, Magnussen, Alesi, Russell and Nicholas Latifi. Now, it's almost time for lights out, so let's go down to the track.
The lights come on. 3, 2, 1. Lights out, and away we go for the Bahrain Grand Prix. Now, it was a really interesting start, I thought. I trying to stick on the inside, and I late brake and I come down, but then it's just too tight a turn, and I kind of get caught in a bit of a Renault sandwich. But something happens to Grosjean in the background. I'm not entirely sure what happened to him, but almost immediately we go into a safety car, which kind of threw me a little bit, which is why I lock my wheels here, because it was kind of like, no, you're going too fast, and I was like, this is the first safety car, second Grand Prix. But anyway, let's watch the start from the cockpit.
Course caution. The safety car is out. Keep an eye on the delta. We need to keep it positive to avoid a penalty. Slow down. Maintain positive delta.
So as you can see, the safety car really confused me, and I was like, oh no, I'm going too quick, and then I was falling back off of the train, and yeah, the safety car confused me a little bit, and it took me a lap or so to get used to it and keep up and stay the right speed. But yeah, the start was really, really messy. It wasn't as clean as I was hoping it would be. But yeah, I don't know what happened to Grosjean, but he had to retire. He caused a safety car. So let's skip ahead to when the safety car was ending. So the safety car has put out its lights, which means Bottas is now leading the train and is essentially the safety car. We're still in that Renault sandwich, obviously. The safety car was out for a couple of laps, I think. But I was just waiting for Bottas to go. Like, he was holding the train for a really, really long time. I know you can't overtake until the safety car line, but it just felt like it was going so slowly. And I don't feel like I reacted particularly well to, look, he's still not gone, he's still not bolted, or it doesn't feel like that anyway. And then I didn't react very well, and I felt I was under pressure from Ricciardo behind, which is never somebody you want behind you. That being said, I felt like this was a really good opportunity to make up some places, so I dived down the inside of Ocon, go round that first corner but can't quite make it stick. But that means Ricciardo's now right on my tail. And he's going to go for a move into the next corner, but doesn't quite have the position or the momentum until I make a lock-up, and then he goes round. And we're side by side going into this fairly quick corner, but I cut him off, but I think we touch, and I end up going really wide. Managed to stay in front, don't get a penalty, but I'm now under pressure and lock up the wheels again. Which is keeping me sort of on edge into the hairpin here. Ricciardo's trying to go around the outside and actually hits me and loses part of his front wing. Something that I will say about this game that I need to work out how to stop it is I lose a bit of front wing before my pit stop, and when I went into my pit stop it automatically replaced my front wing. Now, I was driving perfectly fine with the damage and I was able to adapt to it, and it was still drivable. You could feel understeer here and there, but yeah, it really annoyed me because I lost so much time in that pit stop. But anyway, yeah, we're coming round. I've dropped way off the back of Ocon, but because of the safety car I had loads of fuel, and also my tyres hadn't really worn down, so I was able to extend this stint. So I'll let you watch a bit more of it and then we'll come back just before the pit stop. So in a moment, I actually get a message pop up on my screen in the driver's view saying Lando Norris is out of the session. You can see in the background there smoke pouring out of his Renault engine. So he had an engine failure, which was a real shame because I think Lando was going to have a really, really good race. But I'm now under pressure from Albon. I lock up, he goes through. It leaves me wide open for Gasly. Now here I did something really stupid. I braked really early for some reason for the chicane, which let Gasly straight through, and I had no answer to him. They just went off, and it was at this point where I think I was supposed to come in to the pits at the end of this lap, and I decided not to. I decided to stay out for one more lap. Behind me is our teammate, Giuliano Alesi. No, I was actually supposed to come in the lap before, and I thought, no, Alesi will be coming in this lap, so I will stay out for an extra lap, because I still felt the tyres were good enough that I could maintain pace, but it was a shame really, because I should have come in. My tyres were off. They weren't able to provide the same amount of grip. I had also sustained front wing damage at this point, so I was understeering a little bit as well. But I've now got the 2 racing points behind me, and let's see what happens. Into the pit lane then, and it was at this point that I was hoping that they were just going to swap my tyres out, because position wise I was doing quite well. What I wasn't expecting them to do was take off my front wing and put a new one on. So what should have been a couple of second pit stop turns into, what's that, 9.4 second pit stop, and we come out behind a Williams. And I'm like, oh no, how did a Williams get there? And then I was like, oh, I'm P17. P18 now, and it was just like, oh no, I've got some work to do. So we've got Magnussen, who's already done his pit stop, fighting with the racing point in front. We've got Latifi in front of us, so I had to bring my A game and commit with some quite aggressive overtakes, and I think I do quite well here, so I'll leave you to watch it. So coming down the long straight then, DRS wide open, and I come down the inside, late brake, manage to hold it. I lock up a little bit, but I keep Latifi behind me, and now I can pursue the Racing Point and the Haas in front of me. Once again, it's Magnussen. I always seem to have Magnussen near me on the track. But anyway, yeah, coming up behind him now, going down the long straight towards, or into the last corner. He goes actually a bit slower than I was expecting him to, which is why I had to slam on the brakes even more than I had planned. That doesn't set me up very well. However, he gets a slow exit, and just using ERS and DRS, I can come up beside him and make, I think, one of the best overtakes I have ever made in a racing game. It's just so smooth, so easy. And now on to the Racing Point. going down the main straight then, the Racing Point easily overtakes the Alfa Romeo into the first corner, which leaves us trying to now get past the Alfa Romeo. Now, we are quicker than the Alfa Romeo, or we're about equal if you look at the R&D chart. But coming up here then, we're still behind. We're trying to gauge how they drive. I seem to be able to carry a bit of speed through that corner that the AI sometimes can't, if I get that corner right anyway. But coming down round these sweeping curves towards the corner just before the chicane, I always had in my mind, if I make this corner smoothly and cleanly and not go wide, I can get a really good run on him. So here we go, DRS open. He didn't have DRS. He kind of drives in the middle of the road, so I go towards the right hand side, try and go round the outside. It doesn't really work, but I've got a really good drive going through. Think about the inside, don't stick with it. But now, a little lock up annoyingly, but onto this straight, using my ERS, my overtake button. Haven't got DRS on this straight, irritatingly, but I'm thinking if I can get a good drive out of that last corner, or even into the corner, no, not quite. Slightly battered car where I've maybe been a bit aggressive at times. But annoyingly, I don't get a good run off that last corner. DRS is wide open. I have a little think about going down the inside, try it, lock up, go over the curb, just about make it cleanly. I don't think I hit him. But that is it. We are past the Alfa Romeo and now trying to stay on the back of the Racing Point, although at this stage my tyres are starting to go. The Racing Point's managed to get away whilst the Alfa Romeo and I battle, and it's just an attrition to the end. So we're on the last lap now, and we're once again coming up towards the chicane. I make a mistake going into the corner before, which allows the Alfa Romeo to get really, really close and actually make an attempt around the outside. I lock my brakes and push the Alfa Romeo wide, which allows the Haas to come through. But this is the last lap, and I was like, I've got to hold this position. If I make a mistake, I'm letting 3 cars through, not 1. So I was doing everything I could to stay in front of those 3 cars behind me. My tyres were gone. I'd pushed too hard. I had no grip. As you can see, the Haas is all over me. I'm using my overtake button like mad to try and defend against him. I know if I can get out of this last corner cleanly and smoothly, then I've got the race done. I think I take that corner quite well, considering the stage of the race. And as you can see, the Haas can't get to me, and we cross the line.
That's the end of the race. We'll see you in Parc Fermé.
And Mercedes have pulled off a great victory here today. So Anthony, what made the difference out there today?
Well, the safety car completely changed the race, didn't it? It's hard to say exactly what would have happened without it, but there's no question that they came out of that situation in a good position.
So after a magnificent race, we can now see the drivers making their way to the podium. Once again, it's the Silver Arrows who take top spot, a well-earned victory for Mercedes. Let's see what effect this result has had on the drivers' standings. More points for Valtteri Bottas, further solidifying his lead at the top of the table. So, Anthony Davidson, who would you rank as your driver of the day?
That's got to be the Flying Finn. Wait, how many Flying Fins have we had now? Anyway, I'm talking about Bottas this time. Just great raw speed. and a good job in traffic as well.
It's time to check out the constructors' standings. Mercedes continue to extend their lead. Meanwhile, Renault move up the table with another strong performance this weekend. Well, and an end to another fantastic weekend of racing. Thanks to everyone who joined us, and we'll see you for the next one.
Great work out there today. Let's have your thoughts. You really looked in control of your car out there. Your team must be thrilled. Why do you think you weren't as quick as your teammate today? It wasn't the cleanest race today, was it? Appreciate your time.